an exciting prospect? Are you looking forward to seeing him in the Premier League, Aaron?
I am. I'm not looking forward to seeing him for Liverpool, given that I'm an Evertonian. But
you have to be one of them.
but to be honest, I think the way that Liverpool have ran, you know for a fact if they're going to part with that amount of money for a player, then the research has been done there. The thing that I find interesting about Darwin Nunez, and I've said this a couple of times, is that a lot of his great strengths actually don't lend themselves to playing in a side like Liverpool. So, and what I mean by that is, if you look his goals, a lot of people have pointed to his goals in the Champions League and said, look, he's doing it in Europe's top competition. This is an example of why any club should go out and sign him. But if you look at those sorts of games that Benfica played in, the goals that he scored against Ajax, Liverpool, Barcelona, they all had something in common, and that was that they didn't pay Benfica that much respect in terms of the defensive line. I mean, Liverpool's defensive line was basically on the halfway line in that second leg, and with the game sort of already being sewn up in the first leg. His strengths are he can get his head down with the ball. He's quick when he's moving with it, very, very quick. He's strong. You know, I think he's 6'3" or just under 6'3". He's got an absolute cannon on him. His ability to drift out wide, pick up the ball, and then come inside and release a sort of rocket is a great strength of his. I'm interested to see how he'll do playing for Liverpool and where teams will sit a lot deeper, because if you look at it on the other hand, when he's playing in the Premier League for Benfica, teams also sit deep. So you think, well, it's similar there. Benfica are a big fish in a medium-sized pond in Portugal, and Liverpool are there as one of, you know, the top six. Well, one of the top two, to be honest, at the minute, them in City. And you know, how will he be able to sort of adapt? I think it's a smart signing in that it takes a little bit of pressure off the wide forwards that Liverpool have got. He does offer them something different in terms of over the last couple of years, they've had, you know, Mohamed Salah, who's obviously still there, Sadio Mane, who's now gone, Roberto Firmino, even Diogo Jota, those players that you think, yeah, they can play on the left, they can play on the right, but none of them really stick out to you as this big target man, this focal point, which is what Darwin could be. He's improved his heading massively. A statistic from last season, which is really interesting, is all but one of his goals in the Premier League actually came from inside the box. So for all the sort of clips that you see of him having shots from long range, he knows where the goal is. He knows how to get himself inside that 18-yard box and sniff out the chances. And I think with those wide forwards that Liverpool have got and the midfield of players like Thiago who can sort of link play together, he could go on and have a tremendous season next season. But I'm definitely looking forward to seeing him and Erling Haaland, to be honest, because the comparisons between the two have been made. I don't think they're identical players. I think they offer something slightly different. But I'm looking forward to next season, to be honest. Lots of names came into the league.
There is a lot. Yeah. He's no Sadio Mane, is he, Aaron? Darwin Nunez. They're two. I don't mean in class. I mean, he may come into Premiership and he may, you know, have the same impact as what Mane did. But they're different, aren't they? Totally different to me. Totally. So, I mean, what's going to have to happen is Darwin going to have to change to Liverpool's way of playing, and can he do it, or will Liverpool have to change the way they play to suit Darwin Nunez? Because I dare say he's going to start. They ain't going to pay 100 million for him to sit on the bench. So
you wouldn't think so. No. To be honest, I think the good thing that you've got with Nunez is his versatility. So if it's a case of they'll play someone like Diogo Jota or Firmino more central, they know that they can put Darwin out wide because he's been there and done it for Benfica. Right. You know, the goal against Barcelona was a prime example of him drifting out onto the left, using his weight to bully fullbacks, coming inside and getting a shot off. But I do think that it might be a little bit of a change in system in putting someone like Darwin further forward as that number 9 and playing them as a focal point, because if you've got someone on the pitch like Trent Alexander-Arnold, and for whatever people may say about his defensive abilities, you know for a fact when he's putting a cross in, there's technique, there's quality. It's just you know, it's pinpoint most of the time. So if he's putting these crosses in, and sort of you haven't really got this imposing figure. Half the time he's looking for ricochets. He's looking. Diogo Jota's great in the air, but again, he's Darwin just offers you something different. It's physically imposing. It's 6'3". It's the fact that he doesn't mind wrestling with defenders, and I think those fullbacks in Robertson or Tsimikas on the left and Trent on the right will be looking forward to putting balls in, definitely. So I think, say Liverpool, it doesn't. It pains me to say it, but I think they are probably the best.
See the pain in your eyes.
Aaron, you don't have to say it. You don't have to say it.
No. See, when you take on the mantle, you have to remain non-biased, and they for my money, they're probably the best ranked club in Europe. They very, very rarely get it wrong, especially with the big signings. I mean, Navigator hasn't really worked out, but the amount of signings that have came in and hit the ground running. Luis Diaz came in and looked like Liverpool's. He was sort of leading them, and
Jota.
That's another play. I think Jota coming in, and
even Salah and Mane never cost a lot, did they? Thiago didn't cost. Fabinho didn't cost nothing.
And then I think they've confirmed Taki Minamino went yesterday to Monaco. Again, he's another player. He's came in. I think he scored
very good
in the FA Cup and the League Cup. Won those two cups, and they've sold him on for a profit. It's just smart business, really.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think that Darwin Nunez needs to work on?
I think at times in possession he can be a little bit loose with his touch. Is what I will say is sort of short passing game isn't, because you see all these sort of graphs about percentiles and stuff, and I don't think it's as bad as people are making out, especially sort of on social media. At times, is this, if he's got too many options, if he's got the choice of going down the flank or playing a simple pass or sort of putting a cross in, he can sometimes mess up. He needs to be a bit more sort of tunnel vision with his decisions and think, this is what I'm going to do. Don't get caught in sort of 2, 3, 4 minds. But I do think that is something that he's improved over the last sort of 6 to 8 months. You look at the player that he was in his first season at Benfica, he actually produced like some great performances in terms of being like a chance creator. I think he provided more assists in the league than he scored goals. And then you look at his sort of third season and it's like he's almost completely flipped. He barely provided any assists, but was this goal machine. And I think the fact that he can learn and he can develop at Liverpool under Klopp and under their coaches, that those sort of aspects of his game, they'll work on them and then also work to play towards his strengths as well. So I do think in the Premier League, his touch will have to be a little bit tighter because the defenders are quicker. It's a lot more sort of fast paced. Is that if you take a loose touch, you don't have maybe the second or 2 seconds that you've got to get your foot on the ball. In the Premier League, the defenders will just be on you. The centre mids will just be on you. So definitely that'll be something, but he'll already be sort of getting to work on that. And again, Liverpool will know exactly what they need to put in place to make sure that his strengths are highlighted.
Yeah, no, definitely. One last question before you go.
Can I have one after? Something that I've got to ask.
Go first.
I've got to ask. It might be one to do to the end though. It's not about Portugal, but I have to ask him.
Okay.
All right. Well, I'll get mine in first because mine is about a player we're talking about. Darwin Nunez. No pressure on this question. Can he reach the dizzy heights of the likes of Suarez, Forlan, and Recoba? Could he be one of them names alongside them?
Oof. It's a big question. He's still only young. I mean, what I will say is that he'd be on track to have his name up there as one of Uruguay's greats. I don't think he's played much for the national side. I think he might have 2 or 3 goals and maybe 9 or 10 appearances. But at terms at club level, he's doing all the right things. His career's making all the right noises. This move can be the move, I think, that can sort of catapult him into that sort of level. Because at the minute, on the face of it, we're looking at it, you're thinking it's a player who's had a very, very good season in the Premier League. Now, there's lots of players who will have a very, very good season in the Premier League, and some of them will then go on to sort of reach those Dizzying heights. Some of them will move on to other clubs and make a good career out of themselves. But said the likes of the names you mentioned there, Luis Suarez, those type of players, we'll see. But I mean, he's doing all the right things so far for me.